So guys, yesterday something pretty incredible happened. You guys, the Bungie community, raised over $400,000 for St. Jude. And it actually happened during Bungie's block for GuardianCon. Fellas, that's amazing. I just want you to know, you guys made me proud to be a part of this. Oh man, y'all kind of getting me choked up over here. I love ya! Now I do want to shout out Bungie, man, for doing an excellent job during their stream. We got to see a side of Bungie that I don't think we ever really got to see, right? The fun side, the personal side. And man, they were hilarious. And they were also very gracious. Not one donation was something they just overlooked, and you could tell every one of them were emotionally involved when reading your messages. So really guys, I am damn proud to be part of this community. Now, with that being said, let's talk about a little more specific stuff. Because upon reaching $350,000 yesterday during their block, Bungie agreed to bring Luke Smith on to talk about Lord of Wolves. Now, I don't know if Luke Smith didn't think that Bungie was actually going to raise $350,000 because I don't believe he had an answer ready. The gist of everything that was said by him was essentially, if you played Iron Banner during this Lord of Wolves meta, essentially, you will receive a triumph. And as far as Lord of Wolves itself, he mentioned that it is possible they could just absolutely gray out the weapon to where no one could use it, but he stated that they were not going to go that route. Instead, he did make a comment that later that year they were going to actually fix Lord of Wolves, and then backed up and made a comment afterwards that at some point in July they should be pushing out a sandbox patch for Lord of Wolves. So the main thing to recognize is that Lord of Wolves is not going to be patched or nerfed anytime soon. I would actually say from Luke Smith's comments, I wouldn't see a patch being pushed out for Lord of Wolves until possibly the end of July. Now, how they're actually going to nerf it, he didn't really talk about it. It kind of seemed like he wanted to say more, but he would cut himself off, and so I really don't know how they're going to fix Lord of Wolves. And really the players on PC are the ones that are definitely getting the worst of this. I'm actually going to probably get a review together for console because I have not played on console with Lord of Wolves, but I have played with controller on PC with Lord of Wolves. And it's still very potent. It's not 19 meters potent. So actually, the people that are suffering the worst, at least here on PC, are players that don't play mouse and keyboard. There's actually a lot of controller players, even in PvP. And players that are actually using mouse and keyboard are probably wrecking most of those controller players with something like Lord of Wolves. So just a warning for those that are wanting to see a nerf right here, right now. No, we've got at least, I'd say, a month, maybe a little bit longer. Now, with that being said, let's move along to Transmog. This information was actually dropped on Wednesday, and it's actually some Eververse changes that are coming to us this September. Bungie states here that as of September, all Eververse armor is being converted into universal ornaments. These universal ornaments can be applied to all legendary armor sets we're releasing this fall. They override the look of your equipped gear while preserving the perks, mods, and stats of the original item. This isn't anything new, guys. Transmog has been around for like ever inside of MMOs. And again, since Bungie is starting to adopt that term, prepare yourselves to start seeing many more MMO changes or MMO-like changes coming to Destiny 2. Now, Transmog is only going to work for armor pieces. My biggest concern was if Transmog was going to transfer over our weapons, which really would have been bizarre. Can you imagine someone looking at you with a Jade Rabbit, but it's shooting like a Mighty Multi-Tool because it's actually a Jade Rabbit ornament over Mighty Multi-Tool? I know that sounds crazy, but there's been many MMOs out there that I've played where they'll actually allow you to change the look of weapons, which really throws you off, especially if you're visibly looking at the weapon and you're like trying to prepare yourself on how to counter it, and then it just turns out to be an entirely new weapon. Now, when it comes to acquiring these Eververse armor pieces, there's actually going to be a change to the entire economy. Bungie states here that this fall we're changing Bright Dust from a pay and or play to earn currency to a play to earn reward. We're adding Bright Dust as a reward for completing Vanguard, Crucible, and Gambit bounties. We want all players to earn dust for playing, not for spending money and destroying a bunch of items in their inventory. After you complete all of your bounties for the week, there will be additional avenues to keep grinding out Bright Dust. That's some good stuff, guys. Bungie is making just all the right moves right now. So hands down, guys, this is an excellent change coming. Now, before we get into Destiny 2's population, because yes, we did break over 1 million concurrent players, and I'm pretty sure we've been breaking that daily now. Let's talk about the TWAB. from yesterday. First up, next week, Menagerie Heroic Mode is launching. We're actually going to get an increase in power difficulty, which will start at 750 and then increase to 770. Matchmaking will be disabled for this, and you must form a fire team to enter. Weekly curated gameplay modifiers rotating per boss. Unlike normal mode, Guardians can hit a failure state. Extinguish is active, so if your team wipes, Callus will send you to orbit. Encounters never repeat. If you fail to reach 100% progress toward the boss after completing each encounter once, you will be returned to orbit. Heroic mode specific triumphs, rewards, and challenges await you. Now, the rewards for Menagerie Heroic Mode are probably going to be these 3 swords. Now, there may be some other things outside of these things, but we're almost certain that these 3 swords will come from Heroic Mode. So first up, let's take a look at Throne Cleaver, aka Crown Splitter. The curator role actually comes with Tempered Edge, Heavy Guard, Shattering Blade, which states that if your heavy attack consumes the last of your ammo, it deals significantly increased damage, excludes aerial attacks, and Whirlwind Blade. Now the trait under it is actually called Counterattack. Guarding while receiving damage grants a damage buff for 5 seconds. Makes me wonder how that would stack with something like Shattering Blade, but that's going to be the trait we're definitely going to be directly testing next week. Now moving on to Gold Tusk. This is essentially the Hunter Blade, and the Curator role actually comes with Jagged Edge, Swordmaster's Guard, Energy Transfer, which states that guarding while receiving damage generates class ability energy, and Whirlwind Blade. Now, some things to take note of about this one is it can actually roll with Surrounded. So throwing something like Surrounded Spec on this thing might actually have some pretty decent DPS. Now the third sword here is for Warlocks, Death's Razor. It's an adaptive frame sword, and it also comes for the curated role, Honed Edge, Infinite Guard, Energy Transfer, which is essentially the same thing that we saw on Gold Tusk, Whirlwind Blade, but also Counterattack. I really don't know how these swords are gonna fit inside of PvE or for PvP. Like, I definitely want to try something like Stronghold with Counterattack over on Throne Cleaver. But as far as like the Warlock and the Hunter swords, I really don't know what's going to synergize best with those swords in terms of other exotics. Like, I know for Titan for sure, Stronghold should be pretty potent, especially considering that shots blocked immediately after guarding heals you and you don't burn up any ammo when blocking. But for Hunters and Warlocks, I don't know. We'll just have to see. Let me know in the comments below if you know any exotics that could possibly synergize well with those swords. Now, as far as other rewards for Heroic Mode, I'm not too sure. I don't know what else is in there. Some of us are wondering if something like Lumina might be unlocked through the Menagerie Heroic quests, but we'll see. I like surprises. Now, moving on to D2's population. There's actually an article posted about 4 or 5 days ago that was titled Destiny 2 player count is back over 1 million daily. Now, I'm pretty sure it's been since Destiny 2 has hit those numbers, but this increase in player base is obviously the result of the changes that Bungie are making leading up to Shadowkeep this year. And everything aside, guys, Destiny 2 is probably going to blow up this fall. It's already a very solid game. In terms of depth and content, it's got it. And as someone who recently swapped platforms, man, you just don't realize how much stuff is in this game until you start over and have to re-grind everything. Now the big debate for me, since cross save is coming, should I go back to my console account or should I keep my PC account? And I've been playing pretty consistently here on PC for the past few months, but I'm probably gonna go back to my console account simply because I got way more exotics over there even now. Yes, there's still a number of exotics I have yet to receive, and the amount of exotic catalysts that I have yet to receive here on PC. And I am raiding regularly and playing every activity. There's just a lot, boys. So with that type of depth coming in a free-to-play version, which I know free-to-play players won't be able to access all of that stuff, but they'll be able to get a glimpse of it, D2 is gonna blow up this fall. It really is, guys. I can't even guess what the player base is gonna grow to. And I know Borderlands is coming out and stuff, and that's great. I'm gonna play Borderlands, but just those changes alone, not even counting how well Shadowkeep is gonna do, which I think is still gonna be a phenomenal expansion, D2's future is looking very bright. Now the question that I think many of us are asking is there gonna be a D3? I mean, should there be a Destiny 3? I really don't know the answer to that, because there's already so much inside of Destiny 2, and with new light launching, it almost seems like Bungie is like really setting the foundation, not for a sequel, but almost in the same sense as something like World of Warcraft or like Final Fantasy, Elder Scrolls Online, on, they're setting those MMO routes. New Light being probably the biggest feature coming to that, as well as cross-save. And so if they're gonna actually launch a Destiny 3, I think it's gonna be many years down the line. And on top of that, depending on how well Destiny 2 grows this fall, which we're speculating for it to grow greatly, I don't know if Destiny 3 is even worth launching. Because the reality is, the reason for a sequel like that, where they completely revamp the game, most developers do it so they can attract new players again. But Bungie has stated a long time ago, especially going into Forsaken, that their goal was to reinvigorate their core fan base. And so launching a sequel after we've already put in thousands and thousands of hours inside of Destiny 2, I don't know. I just don't know how it would benefit them. But let me know in the comments below what you think, guys. That is essentially the news for this week. Again, Guardian Con is only, what, 2-3 weeks away? I'll be there. Me and my wife are gonna be hanging around. We're gonna probably be between Guardian Con and Disney World. Like, I'm hoping to get more time at Guardian Con, but my wife is, she's really bugging me about Disney World, guys. So if I happen to see you at either Guardian Con or Disney World, feel free to come say hey to me. Fellas and ladies, thank you all for coming and watching, and have a wonderful Friday. And as always,
slap that like button like your mama told you right.